All right, we're all the way here, flowing in.
Thank you.
Refreshing the energy. Yes, it's always new. There's always something new coming in. So you're refreshing yourself. You're refreshing your perspectives, your perceptions. You're refreshing everything all of the time. So just remember that if it starts to feel stagnant at all, you're just in a pattern that is, yes, it's not going to unfold in a direction that you love, but it's a simple adjustment. So this is all the fine tuning, this is the tweaking when those feelings come up. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So actually, I created some wonderful joy this past week and spent some time in the mountains and beautiful, vibrant fall colors and the aspen trees and beautiful weather. It was 70s and sunny, and we were by the rivers and in the mountains and with some friends, and it was really, really joyful. It was, every day felt like a gift, and I was really able to feel that consciousness of, the energy of me, source flowing. It really felt present. I wasn't working, I wasn't, hanging out with anybody but David and my friends. And so it was really a nice break. And I noticed as we were driving down the mountain this afternoon, I was thinking, this kind of feeling that I had is really the feeling of a sort of fullness. There's a feeling of fullness that is sort of like abundance, but also a fullness of life. And I think that's what, when you were just speaking, it reminded me of that yes, sometimes things do feel stagnant, and, feelings kind of get a little bit, what's going on, I wonder what's going on. Why is this happening? But at the same time, I'm also able to kind of just embody this consciousness of, this feeling of fullness, and let that kind of speak to me.
And that's the difference between thinking your way there, trying to build the path for each of your individual thoughts, and just letting the energy move through you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the difference between sort of what would be heart centered in kind of a terminology, that consciousness of the heart rather than the thoughts, because the thoughts are attached to the conditions, to the forms, to the kind of events or whatever, the people behaving a certain way, whereas the consciousness, the flowing of this heart, feels like it's open and yeah, and free. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it is open and it is free and it does fill you up and then it overflows as
Yeah.
well.
I was also listening to Eckhart Tolle a little bit, and he talks about presence and the present moment a lot. And there is no past, there is no future kind of thing. It's just really this present moment, which I can relate to, and I can understand, really understand. Um, it's not an easy, can be challenging to um, be in the moment by moment by moment by moment, um, but really, in truth, that's all there really is, because that's what we're living. We're living this now moment, right? But then I had a question, because in some of the teachings that you offer, and you kind of talk about this consciousness is dreaming this dream that we're in a way, um, there is only the now moment. But if it's already sort of dreamt, is it that we are sort of living it with a new perspective? I'm trying to understand, I don't want to use time. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to understand, the kind of the experience of being in this dream that our consciousness has chosen to dream.
So now, yes, it is all happening now. Now is the doorway. Now is the window through which all of the possibilities filter and become more now experience. So in this moment, you're the deciding factor in terms of how much of this energy you're interfacing with. And that will determine in this now, in successive nows, in the developing and enriching now that you are flowing into, that energy determines which thoughts, which potentials, which probabilities, which possibilities are taken from the sea of all that is and brought into this moment. So the work is not to go off into the future. The work is not to look into the past, but to experience in this now that connection to the inner energy, and that sorts everything out. In other words, if you are looking for resolution for an experience in your past, that would happen in this now by that choice of energy. If you're looking to move into a future experience, well, you get from point A to point B through the straight line that is determined by your energy in this moment. And so it all ties together. But when you try to sort it all out, that's when the confusion comes in. That's when the overwhelming feeling comes in. That's when you lose your bearings within all of this process. So staying stable in this now is what brings it all together.
Yeah. And in relationship to, for instance, my husband and his I don't know what to call it, his state of being. In the now moment, we're feeling very connected. We're feeling very, supportive. And I'm not sure how much to like sometimes I'm inspired to, prepare for his needs, what he might need. So for instance, when we go on this trip, to make sure he's got walking sticks for us to go out on the trails, or things like that, which is all part of the now moment, the inspiration that comes up, and then I make this decision and choose to do these things. But I also have a fear, I guess it's a fear that comes up that he's going to hurt himself, or we're going to um, like he wants to take a cruise to Alaska, and I'm like, well, that would be fun. Um, get a handicapped room or whatever, accommodations. But he falls a lot now. He seems to be falling. And so I'm trying to like navigate this. We're going to get him some physical therapy for his balance. Anyway, in the now moment, it's always very loving. It's very kind. It's very appreciative. And, we're really in sync. But then there's these other sorts of fears, I think, that keep coming up. And I'm trying to decide how much of that do I actually prepare for and navigate, and how much do I just allow it to be as it is.
So you feel the fear when it comes. We don't want you to run from it. We don't want you to try to pretend it away or to avoid it. Stick your head in the sand and avoid it. The fear comes, and we want you to acknowledge it and feel it. In that moment, the inner energy is rising up in 1,000 different ways that you cannot perceive to meet that and to bring you into resolution, to bring you into solution. So you have to have that moment where you accept it, you acknowledge it. And in that moment, you're saying, I need help with this. And then the help is given. But you have to, again, let yourself feel it. The answer comes forward. And as soon as you truly feel it, that's when you can just relax and let it go. And then the solutions are flowing in. And they're flowing in. In other words, we don't want you to find the fear and focus intently on that forever and ever and ever to prepare for all contingencies, to prepare for any possibilities, because that'll make you crazy. And it will not provide the help that you're seeking. Right. In other words, you're not looking to wrap him or anyone else up in bubble wrap and make sure they're protected and not able to do any of that. So you just have that recognition when it comes up. You don't push into it. You don't delve further. You accept this is something that's come up. And then you get back into the process. Yes, you know this process. And then you let the energy come. You let it flow in. You let things shift and change. And while that's happening, what you're also asking for within all of this are all sorts of different solutions. In other words, you don't have to get to every single little problem in the future in order to determine every single solution, and then your suitcases are packed full of stuff you may never need. Instead, you trust the process to bring those solutions into being.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fine line. I mean, I'm aware of the fear engenders control. And so that's kind of what I'm kind of brings about the sense that, I have to control every little thing, like you said. But I know now that like there's no need for that. There's absolutely no need, because I see how wonderfully supported I am by the universe and the inner energy coming through to just that presence, and I can connect with that, and I know that, and it's really awesome. So I hear what you're saying. I think maybe it's just an old pattern of, I better figure this out before something, terrible happens, kind of
And
feeling.
that's when we want you to remind yourself that it has been figured out. And there's no way you can look into his experience and find out every possibility and figure all those things out too.
Mhm.
But the fact that you're aware of it means that your inner energy is aware of it as well, and that it's already been figured out and it's already been worked out. And while
Mhm.
you can't control his situation, you can control your ability to receive solutions on the fly. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah. So in that now moment, as you're saying, that energy is coming forward in this now moment with the solutions. And by being present with that energy, I may be guided to make a choice or a decision, but it'll be in that now moment, that may then, like, oh, give them a call and see if they've got a room without a lip on a shower. That's just a simple thing. So he doesn't trip. But it's like, and it feels good to be able to just flow like that. That's the difference. That's not a fear-based thing. It's kind of like, oh, that was a good inspiration. That was a good idea. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's been figured out. And those ideas come to me, come through me, come with him, come with
And
our situation.
And this will be such a gift for you going forward, because this is how you take the process out of the meditation chair and you
Yeah.
take it into real life. Instead of having it to be an energy shifting thing that you do once a day or a couple times a day, you're getting into the flow, the energy is moving faster, and so your process is moving faster as well. You just need to keep up with it. And we don't mean that in a challenging sense, but it is an artistic, it is a creative challenge that you're embarking here.
Yeah.
And so you're refining your process.
Yeah. 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 No, that's really good. That's really good. Thank you, Joseph. That reminder was perfect. Right on. Spot on. Um, okay, just want to switch gears. We've had a lot of fires, forest fires around Colorado, and especially around Boulder and the little towns in the mountains, and people are being evacuated, and you can see the flames in the orange sky, and the smoke is just everywhere. And there was some human mistakes made with campfires and things like that, even though we had a fire ban, because it's been very dry and there's been a drought. But I'm wondering, what is the energy of fire in that respect in the earth? Because at one time I thought, oh, it clears things out. It's like sometimes when you get so intensely angry and you just kind of let it go, it clears it all out. And that was the feeling that I was getting, but I'm not exactly sure what is
It is
that.
part of the regeneration process.
So regeneration of the earth.
Indeed.
Yeah,
You
regeneration.
know that what will come from this is rebirth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Lots of rebirth. I mean, not only in nature itself, biologically, but I think that people will make some choices and decisions based on, wanting to put some better practices in place, perhaps. Yeah.
And that is how you learn
Yeah. Yeah.
as well. We have spoken for quite a while now, since essentially the beginning of this work, that what the next stage in your evolution is as a society, a mass society, is working with the rhythms of the earth. And when you start anew, when you rebuild with that in mind, with that relationship
Mhm.
appreciated, some would call it held sacred. But when you have that relationship between the individual, between the community, and your natural surroundings and you respect that,
Hmm.
then it becomes a matter of co-creation between yourself and the earth. Now,
Yeah.
of course, that is not what has been going on. And so when there is this readjustment going on, everything has to readjust with it.
Right. 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 So that brings up just a larger perspective in terms of it's not only the people, like the humans, and I know we're all intricately connected, but we're not the only ones going through this sort of awakening or this kind of, I don't know what else that's what it's been called, but the earth is as well. I mean, it reverberates, it feels that, and maybe not only the earth, but maybe lots of other, star systems or whatever. It's kind of like a finely woven, intricate design, intelligence, right? Aren't we all connected in that way? So
It is, and it is coming back into balance.
very good.
So, in the same way, you see a lot of your structures in terms of your societal economic structures shifting, you see other structures shifting, whether it's a home, whether it's a village, whether it's cities, those structures will continue to change as well. And you'll see these greater sort of world events that lead to these structures continuing to change. So it takes a fire for the rebuilding to come into place. It takes a pandemic for a lot of these other structures to stop being effective as well. And so there is a give and take between you and your natural environment, you, the plural you, all of you, and your natural environment.
Right.
And when you place that relationship and that rhythm into priority,
Hmm.
into the forefront of your understanding, then the structures become more sound in that sense. You have a foundation for moving forward. And that is where your technologies will continue to come forward and to make that adaptation. In other words, using technology as a bridge between yourself and the environment. It is not coming all at once. In other words, there are some people who want to flee into the woods and just live off the land, and there are others who want to put a computer chip into their brain, and you're moving into the place where you're finding a balance between all of this,
Mm.
and it is through trial and error in many senses.
What is your take on the vaccine situation? I know that for me at least, I don't usually get like a flu shot. I don't, usually, but I did vaccinate my kids. I have been vaccinated against polio and, all of those things. But it's become very confusing because there's a sense that, people don't trust the vaccine. And does it come down to our belief system, what we actually believe? What is our relationship with that? Or is that what is a vaccine?
So there are many things going on here.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we want you to define your relationship to it, but not all vaccines are the same. In the
Right.
same way, not all viruses are the same. In the same way, not all people are the same. So, this is why you have your science to refine and to lessen the negative impact and to reduce the side effects and things like that, so that you can have something that will refortify the body. Now, is it necessary for everyone? Not at all. Ultimately, of course, it is your choice. As you're finding balance within the physical self, you can
Mhm,
have a virus such as that come and go with
mhm.
little to no disturbance within the overall physical system. However, in the same way you may wear a seatbelt, even when you don't expect to crash a car, it can be just an extra sort of sense. Now, there are those who will say, well, taking a preventative measure is really inviting the danger. Wearing the seatbelt and protecting yourself is really inviting a car crash. Or taking a vaccine
Oh,
is inviting more danger. And in that moment of vulnerability, that's when you really bring the things against yourself. And that's much of the pushback that goes on here. Ultimately, we really want to say it's quite inconsequential. to the individual
Yeah.
for many reasons. If it is your time to transition, you're going to bring that into your experience. But if it's your intention to stay and a vaccination comes easily into your experience, then there's nothing to worry about in any of this. So there are some vaccines that are very, 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 very safe. There are some vaccines that are not safe at all in that sense and have caused tremendous problems for children and other individuals. So you just have to pay attention and judge for yourself, ultimately, with this and all other things. And
Mhm.
if it is the next step for you, it will feel just like a no-brainer. You'll say, okay, well, I'm getting on an airplane and this country is expecting me to have it. And I've seen that it's no big deal and lots of other people have it. So whatever, I'll get it and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Or not.
Right, right. Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds like the rational, reasonable way to handle it. I mean, that sounds like common sense, what you just said. Complete common sense. And and I don't know why we're getting all hyped up about all of this stuff. It's almost like not only the vaccine, but then, the like the racism and Trump versus Biden, and it's like, why are we so like out of um it doesn't feel like we're coming to common sense, like what we can agree upon, but we're focusing on what we disagree upon.
It is like a fever. It is like a fever coming to break.
Yeah.
You're reaching that climax, and
Yeah.
then the fever will break and it will subside.
Okay. Okay. That's what I hope, and I really was hoping that, because we could just say to each other, you know what is your solution to this problem, and listen, and another person can say to me, what's your solution to this problem, and listen to me. Like, we could have a dialogue rather than you know a full-blown argument. There was a person up in Aspen who was on the corner and said, and he was so funny, he's like, Jesus for Trump. And my friend Stan said to him, I missed that in the Bible. I didn't realize that Jesus was for Trump. Where did it say? It was like he was trying to make light of it, the guy just then got really, like, more adamant about, how Jesus is for Trump. And so I don't know why we can't even like have these conversations that are more I don't know, just more civil, I guess, is that, but as you say, maybe it is that energy that's just kind of building and building, and it's so apparent right now that, it's gonna like pop.
It will.
Yeah. Okay.
It will.
Okay.
It's just meeting against all sorts of beliefs that don't let that energy flow through. And instead of, because you have not been trained to be flexible or to go with that energy, you've been trained to go to the Bible, for instance, in that sense, or to a leader or something like that. But when those opinions, that the energy of that approach and the energy of your inner energy don't synchronize, and you choose the outer
Oh,
beliefs,
yeah.
the inner energy hasn't gone anywhere. It's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But when you firm up against it more and more, then you feel that pressure.
That's right.
And that's what's causing everyone to lash out.
That's right. It's just like with every individual, as you've taught me, within myself, when that energy builds and I'm not in alignment with what that truth is, with that energy, it becomes more and more, it feels more and more tense. Yeah, it feels more and more tense until,
And what do you do when you have that tension and you don't have any means of soothing it? You blame others, you lash out on others.
yeah, that's right, Joseph. That's right. Thank you for that. That's really helpful. When people have stress in their lives, like overwhelmment, um, so that my boss at the university ended up in the hospital with his heart. I don't know, he keeps fainting. He said he had this 2 years ago. He just keeps fainting. And they think it's something syncope or whatever it's called with his heart. And the guy works like he's amazing. He's this amazing scientist, amazing. Like he's developed one of these technologies that you're talking about, and that's why I love working with him. But he's also trying to run a spin-off company. He's got like 8 graduate students that, he's mentoring. He's got a wife who's trying to get pregnant. Um, like he's got so much, and he doesn't sleep very well. And so he's got this incredible stress, um and he knows it. It's like he's aware of it. He's not he's not just going full bore. He knows he needs to figure this out. But yet, does it take like these issues of crises sometimes for us to make a change? And I think that's kind of,
Sometimes
yeah, yeah, I think that
there's
maybe,
always a breaking point, and that is determined by what you're willing to put up with for whatever reason. Whether you think you're accomplishing more, whether you think it'll make you look better, whether you think that you need to do it or you're not worthy. You all have your varying degrees of what you're willing to put up with. The question is, are you bringing yourself back into balance? Because you
yeah,
can always go there and you'll always go further, but you need to bring yourself back into balance. And
yeah,
that's what we're talking about, learning how to do this on the fly. Because he has his moments of being able to refresh, but it's not necessarily every single day, and it's certainly not moment to moment. And so there is the burnout, as you see manifesting.
thank you. There really is. It's kind of a come to the realization rather than saying there really is. I've come to the realization that this conscious awareness and intelligence that is me is available, is here in every moment, every present moment. It is here. It is. And consciously choosing, um, and allowing, I don't mean like digging in and finding it, but I mean, kind of stepping into allowing it to be and come through me. It's almost like you have to be aware of it. You have to be, first you have to be aware, like you have to know that you are more than just this physical body. You have to, like, I think it's really important that you know that. Because then you just think that you have to attack everything from the physical perspective, right? Like you have to like do more, do it better, make it harder. Do we all have the capability to find that, to allow that energy to come through us in no matter what kind of orientation we might have had in our lives? And
Yes,
yeah, okay.
but it's not going to happen to you.
Yeah,
You have to have that willingness to participate with the process.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
And not everyone is at that point.
But we're getting there, right? Isn't that where we're all going?
You're getting there.
Yeah, yeah,
Because these breaking points will happen. Now, some people, the breaking point happens when they leave the body. Some people, it takes a traumatic experience. Some people, it takes a physical issue. Some people, it's just waking up a little grouchy and finding that to be unacceptable, and then to do that tuning. So, again, everyone has their own breaking point, if you would, for when you feel that you must get into that calibration. We just recommend that you get there as quickly as possible.
okay. Okay, okay, very good.
And
Very
you'll
good.
see, and you see, many are reaching their breaking point.
Yes, yes. Many people, like many communities. Yeah, I mean, it's happening in all over the world in many ways. So this has been very enlightening to have this conversation because I think the theme that has run through our conversation has really helped me to understand that it is about that coming into balance, and when finding that place where we can open up and allow the energy, work with the energy, like allow it to be us, me, um, moment by moment by moment in the now. Yeah.
So it is.
Yeah. Yes.
Anything else here?
No, Joseph, thank you. That was brilliant. Thank you.
We are complete.
Aaron,
Hey.
thank you so much for that wisdom. That